Welcome back, everyone, to Merge Conflict, your weekly developer podcast, talking about all things in the world of podcasts. And this is a podcast talking about all things about actually, we have been listening to a new podcast, Frank. Sure, if you're listening to this is perfect. It's a podcast, a murder mystery, Frank. It's a Wondery podcast, True Crime. Happily Never After, Dan and Nancy. It's pretty good.
I got into true crime for one day, and I got really into it, and that was it. That was enough. I think that was enough for a lifetime. I true crimed for a day, and then I was like, never again.
It's good. We travel a lot. We were like, Heather found it. It's pretty good. It's only 6 episodes, so it's like pretty quick, in and out, good for flights, good for travel.
Yeah.
This is a podcast not about podcasts. It's a podcast about technology and development and all those good things. But Frank, we got a life update. Life update.
Am I alive or are you alive? Which one of us is alive?
Hold on, do pulse check. I don't know. I did tune in earlier. People don't know, but I did tune in. I got into Zencast, and Frank was in another reality. So we don't know if he's still here, if his body is just
reality. A better reality. A vision reality.
It's a vision of reality.
An X reality.
X reality. It's okay. OS for reality. Okay. 2 updates. MP3 player update going fairly good so far. We did some music trial and error and things like that. I would say this. We do have it like in the car. It's working well, kind of the random player, things like this. The one thing is that the players that we got were like the cheapest ones humanly possible. So they don't have Bluetooth, or they have Bluetooth that don't work well.
Oh, darn.
Only because if you want to skip a song, you want to do Bluetooth so you can see. Well, actually, you just want to see the name of the song on the screen. And you want to hit next. So we did get another one. Let's see if I can have it here.
Boy. Item number 3, I believe. Okay.
Yeah, I bought so many MP3 players.
Better Bluetooth.
Better Bluetooth. This one was like $20, I think. It's got a little cool clip. I went to AliExpress. I just had a heyday. I can't help myself. So anyways, we'll see how this one is. But, it's going fairly well so far, I would say. So much that, I think that the other ones, if I'm going out and I'm going on a walk or I'm doing, something not in the car, then it would be totally fine. But when you're driving, you don't want to fiddle with the thing. You just want to see it on the screen. So
it's dangerous to fiddle with the thing. Yeah.
You don't want to fiddle with it. So
so the critiques are Bluetooth is a necessity. I believe I said that every time we talked about these things. Yes. And then it turns out there's bad Bluetooth. I didn't realize that was really a thing. I thought Bluetooth was pretty standardized these days, but some doesn't send the names of the songs. Okay, whatever.
Well, not necessarily that. It just won't connect to our car. So it says it has Bluetooth, but it's like, no. So I don't know.
That kind of Bluetooth. I think we're all familiar with that kind of Bluetooth.
If anyone's programmed a Bluetooth stack, then you know why this didn't fail. So we'll see. Hopefully this one has a better stack, a little bit of better software. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But in general, going good. And then the other update, Frank, is that I bought a new phone.
You've just been buying everything. MP3 player. But if you bought a phone, why do you need an MP3 player? I'm confused, James. As a mobile developer, I expect you're buying a new phone every 3 months. Have you been behind schedule?
Well, one may say that I'm pre-ordering a new phone that comes out in January, and that phone is the Light Phone 3. Frank, I am going...
What is going on in the world? Full
hyper
hipster.
Minimal. Okay. Full hipster, hyper minimal. Very excited about it. The other ones had e-ink. This one actually has an OLED, I think, or LED or whatever it is.
So,
minimal phone. You've heard of the Light Phone? It's the Light Phone.
No, I haven't heard of it. For those who are just listening, allow me to explain, and those watching, because we don't have a great screencast here. What James has bought is a box that looks like a developer's box for a dev kit of some sort for some kind of touch device. But no, it's a product. This is the final design.
Yep.
It evokes Zune, if I may. It is Zune inspired for sure, but it's black. The proportions are completely wrong. I hate the proportions. And once again, I want to reiterate, it looks like a dev box. I'm excited. It's the same price as a baseline iPhone. It probably works 1/16 as well. Good for you, buddy. Can you write apps for it?
No, you cannot. No, there's a phone, an alarm, there's directions,
Notes,
there's a music note,
timer. It sounds
timer,
a little bit
calendar.
feature creepy. Almost like, what if you had a device that could do all those things and you could buy new things that the device could do?
No. All right. So I was very interested in the Light Phone 2 when it came out several years ago. And at that time when it launched, it actually only had, I think it had phone, message, and I think that might have a maybe calendar, maybe on it. And they added a few more features based on user demand, which would be navigation. But there's no browser. There's no any social apps. No, none of that. There's a camera on this.
Here's where it's wrong.
Me. I'm ready.
If this is the Light Phone, it shouldn't have a phone on it. The phone's the worst part of the phone. It should just be text messages. I get no internet, but text messages. When I'm bored and I'm be fun to browse the internet. Oh, I can't browse the internet on this device. I'll just bug my friends. That's what I would do. But I notice it probably has an on-screen keyboard, which means I'm guessing they did not write the operating system from scratch. So this is probably some hilarious version of Android running on here.
I don't know, actually. I don't believe so, because the Light Phone 2 actually is e-ink, and this is what it looks like. It's a different proportion. And like I said, when you use the keyboard, it was actually a e-ink keyboard that they made. I'm not sure. I can look. What OS does the Light?
I think you did bury the lead a little bit there. You should have led with e-ink. An e-ink phone. I'm down with that. Apple e-ink phone. I want one.
Yeah. It says it runs Android. Okay, so it does run Android.
Yeah.
Light OS runs Android. And probably
no one writes. Ever since the Linux kernel came out, operating system. No one's written an operating system since.
Yeah, it'd be hard. Yeah.
It's not hard. Just no one wants to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone, go get the Oberon book. Oberon. One book. You'll write a compiler and an operating system in one book.
There you go.
And a few.
Anyways,
apps.
I'm excited about it. I'm going to try to do the minimal life. I'm still going to have my normal phone. I'm just going to have another phone. I'm going to have two phones.
You're going to have two phones? No, that's not phones. Light. That's the opposite of light. That's heavy.
One phone. I'm not going to bring them both with me all the time, but one phone to disconnect.
Let's see.
And then one phone.
Let me give you just a little pro tip in life.
I'm ready.
Just forget your phone sometimes, like I do.
It's true.
I barely ever remember to bring my phone with me, so just do that, and then you won't have to deal with the whole light phone versus heavy phone. You know what? If you don't have a phone and you want to listen to the music, you know what you do? You listen to the birds. The birds tweet. Good enough.
There you go. Well, I'm excited. Both you and Heather made fun of me, but that's okay, because I'm excited to give it a spin, and if anything, I can always resell it. It's not a big deal. So, yeah, it's
cute, but literally, I've bought dev boxes that look like that.
I am still waiting for my actual dev box, which would be the Snapdragon dev box I've been talking about. I haven't gotten an email yet, so I would like to get that at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. That's not a dev box. That's like a proper machine.
Legit. It's like 2 Light Phone 3s.
Got to have a monitor. Still got to buy a new monitor.
That's true. Yeah, you should buy one. Anyways, I back in the day, I messed around with just like little flip phones and things like that, if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
And that didn't go so great. And the biggest part of, and the problem with it was really just navigation, in my opinion. Just GPS navigation is essential. It is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does the Light Phone have that?
It does, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah. It didn't. That's why I didn't get the Light Phone 2. The Light Phone 2 didn't, or 1, because it didn't have it. They added it midstream, but by then,
Roger.
Forgotten. So now...
Okay.
Yeah.
The baseline apps. Steve Jobs was right.
Yeah. It's like, you remember when they launched the iPhone and then there was no app store? That's what this phone is, basically.
It still had a web browser. Web browser was a killer app on the iPhone. I remember people demoing their phones to me with the web browser being like, look, pinch to zoom. Can you believe it? Did I know back then that I would be implementing pinch to zoom on literally every app I've written and have 8,000 different algorithms to have pinch to zoom work?
Yeah. Well, I'm interested. I'm actually surprised. I mean, if I look at my phone, the number 1 and 2 apps are YouTube and then the browser. So it's like, I'll be fascinated to see. Mostly I'm like, I know I could just delete YouTube, but then I wouldn't be able to watch YouTube.
Can you, James?
That's hard. Anyways, let's talk about 3D televisions, Frank, because I have a 3D television that I bought in 2011. Talking about going light, it's an 8,500 pound plasma that has lasted 13 years and through 3 repairs. I opened this puppy up multiple times. I bought, this is on the podcast. So if you haven't listened to the last 415 episodes, I opened up my TV and I replaced a part. You want to talk about, what's that thing where the iFixit, like the what's that?
Tear down.
There's the tear. But now there's the right to repair. I repaired my own television, Frank. Can you believe that? I bought a part and I fixed it. Wires. The craziest part is that there's these ribbons that like go in. And if you don't get the ribbons perfect, you turn on the TV and there's just like a black line across it. And you're like, let me put it in again. Turn it on, Yeah. Anyways.
A little bit of analog.
Yes. But I did fix it multiple times. And this television, which I bought, I think for like $1,200 or $1,300, because a very expensive plasma at the time. I was investing for the long run. Now it's lasted 13 years, $100 a year for a TV. Not bad. It came with 2 3D active shutter glasses. I watched Avatar in 3 dimensions coming out my face.
You're piquing my interest, but first I have to make fun of you a tiny bit. I haven't made fun of you enough on this podcast yet, I guess. It's just my thing. Did you include the cost of the power bill in that TV? Because as far as I can tell, these plasmas are power hungry. I inherited a plasma, and in the winter, I'm like, this room's a little bit warmer because the plasma TV is on. So I wonder if you've included that in your cost of ownership calculation that you did.
Listen, it's only 339 watts active. So that's what it says. I don't know. I just Googled that. It says power consumption, standby power is 0.2 watts.
Mine feels like a heater. So I guess I should put a little meter on mine. Maybe something's broken. Maybe I need to do some right to repairing on it.
When you walk in the winter, like you said, it is noticeably warmer. Yeah. And especially in the summer. And I remind Heather, please turn off the television when we're not watching it. And we're not just looking at pretty 4K, even though it's 1080p.
I love it.
Beautiful Apple TV cinematics for free here. Where both costs of heating the room and also the actual power consumption. I mean, that's what it says is power consumption. Let's see if I can find you one. Is that a lot?
When it's off?
340? That's pretty decent.
It's 300 watt light bulb, 300 or 400 watt light bulbs. So I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Not the worst.
For a TV.
Not the worst. That's for the 50 inch. So mine might be like 400 watts because it's a 55 inch. So bam.
I'm out of my league here. I really don't know. I always felt like mine was hot because I do also have a plasma. But
it is hot. It is hot. Is yours 3 dimensions?
Mine is not 3 dimensions.
Wow.
So it's very sad. Very sad.
Embarrassing.
And this is a little weird. Why, James? Why in the world would we be rewinding the clock to a dead technology? These 3D TVs, they're dead. Dead. Not dead on arrival. It took what? Good 5 years for them to die?
Yeah.
They were pushed really hard when we stopped increasing the resolution of TVs, and TVs just got to a size big enough where they really didn't fit in a pickup truck anymore. TV can't really get any bigger than that.
I love when you go to
add to these things.
When you go to the Costco or you go to the Best Buy and you see some poor individuals trying to squeeze and shove their new TV in the back of their car. They can't do it. It's too big. It's not going to fit.
there are pickup trucks these things don't fit in anymore.
They're ginormous. It's inappropriately sized televisions back there. I agree.
Well,
did they even put 3D in TVs anymore? I don't think so, right?
not really. It's kind of, I think people just weren't buying them. Plus, it was just a bad time for the technology because people had just upgraded to HD, and then they're like, upgrade to 3D too. You're like, I just bought a TV. It's fine. I don't need to see things in 3D. Plus, you needed these weird headset things that go with them. James, what did you call them?
They're 3-dimensional active shutter glasses. That means that they're actively shuttering in your eyes, up and down, off and on, off and on, off and on, actively. And those were the top of the notch. That was the top line, and they were important because each set of glasses were like $100 or $150. Mine came with 2, which is pretty good. They're expensive glasses, and I believe mine came with
$500, but okay.
Yeah, then maybe they were $200. I forget how much they were. They're expensive though. All I know is they were expensive. Those are the top tier. I remember them. And I bought Avatar in 3 dimensions.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And you needed a Blu-ray player to play in 3 dimensions.
Oh right, it doesn't come with a player, and internet speeds were bad back then. So
exactly correct. Yeah, so that is exactly what happened. So it was something, and I definitely watched it a few times. I would say that, it was what it was.
Yeah.
Avatar,
nothing else? Any other movies stick out in your head? Did you watch the Wizard of Oz re-released as 3D? Titanic re-released as 3D. I never understood how those re-releases were.
Yeah.
So, God, it does feel like we're talking about 1970s technology. It's funny how that one just really kind of came and went. But you know what? 3D is back, James. It's back.
It's back, baby.
It's back. And it's back in the form of VR, virtual reality, XR, AR,
MR.
Spatial,
SR, spatial reality. Yeah, I think that 3D is still something that has always fascinated people, right? Being able to touch something in augmented reality. When I got my Nintendo 3DS, the ability to actually have a 3-dimensional image come out at you, that was really cool because you didn't need glasses or anything. It was so cool. Mind-boggling.
I love those screens. There was a phone. HTC, I think, made it, which had like one of those cool 3D screens on it. And the phone had 8 billion cameras on it, and it could take 3D photographs and everything.
Yeah.
So we've all tried. But I think the world, at least probably for the next decade or two, we're probably going the headset approach. You want 3D, you're putting a headset on. Hopefully the headsets will get smaller and lighter and better and all that kind of stuff. But per device, having a monitor be 3D, you just can't make them big enough. It's just hard, Whereas you put a headset on and the smallest video file you can just drag to be ginormous in your field of view, and it works out just fine. So even with my, not even the Quest, what was the old one called? The Rift?
The Vive?
I never got a Vive.
I played a Vive. HTC
Yeah.
Vive. Yep, it's good.
I even had the dev kit, I think, of the Rift or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But we've been doing 3D video on VR headsets forever now. I think even YouTube supports them to some degree. YouTube supports a couple things, 360-degree videos, but I think it also supports VR videos that you can watch on there.
Yeah.
And so it's been interesting that the 3D TVs kind of went away, but 3D always did stick around. And Apple is doing their best, I think, to push hard. I was curious what the state of 3D video was going to be, and we had our WWDC, and I think we got some answers to it. They still think spatial 3D stuff is fun. Entertainment is fun. What are we really talking about here? We're like canned entertainment, either canned videos, home videos to be recorded in spatial 3D and then viewed in spatial 3D. Sorry, everyone who doesn't have a headset who can't watch it. But then also just entertainment like Hollywood. You just want to watch a Hollywood a 3D movie. I don't know if Hollywood's still making 3D movies, but maybe with VR coming back, I mean, for them, it's just a lens. Just put the 3D lens on the camera and do it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about Apple's spatial videos because I've been deep diving into them a bit. But yeah, that was our context.
Let's do it because, the last time I saw some 3D stuff, I think was maybe at the Seattle Science Center. They have the IMAX there, and they do 3D, like the shorter 3D films. You put the IMAX 3D glasses on, and you can just pop them on. I didn't see Mario in 3D, did I? They're still doing 3D movies.
They're still doing it? Okay.
There was an era where they're just like, and they're like, we can charge more. But I remember seeing, I don't know if it was Madagascar or it was one of the dinosaur or one of the space ones. They're the ones that are like, 30, 45 minutes. And that's about the right amount of time for like 3D movies. When you're watching an 18-hour Avatar 8, it's a little bit much.
Lord of the Rings Extended Edition.
It's
straight through, all in 3D. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
4 days.
That's cool. I didn't know there was, I didn't know IMAX did 3D. Of course they do. I'm sure I've seen commercials for it, but bounced right off the top of my head. I didn't notice. So I've never seen one.
The one thing that we've talked about so far is like, we're always consuming the other 3D media that's out there, right? And I think the topic of this conversation, and what's fascinating is I just was looking at the specs on my television, and we're talking about the different modes. There's a whole bunch of ways that 3D can come in, in general for the different formats. But it even said on my thing, it's like available for these formats on TV or input or on an SD card, because I have an SD card reader. They're like, just casually load your 3D movies that you've created. No problem. Which, like, I've never thought about ever how you would even go about creating a 3D movie in general. I've never in my once mind thought about it. But apparently, Frank, you're doing a lot of thinking on that recently.
I am. Where do I even want to begin with this? I want to begin with a little bit of a surprise I ran into. Some fun fact about Apple spatial videos. You ready for a fun fact, James?
Yeah, I'm ready.
This isn't the first time Apple's done something 3D. Not remember, you can still do it. You can take, with your iPhone, it has a little LiDAR sensor thing on it. You can take a depth-mapped photograph, and you can do different things with that. You can move the focal point. What else can you do? That's about all they let you do. You can't do too much, but you'd be surprised. I think the default setting is like every photograph you take, it's recording the depth map there. And it's been doing that for years. I have archives and archives of all my old Heek and Heef files.
Well,
how do you pronounce? I in my head I call them Heek and Heef.
There's a C or an F. What is in there? I don't even know.
Well, there's both. There's the Heef format and the Heef container.
Oh, geez.
So wonderful. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
So anyway, and it's also called H265, and so a lot of different names for these things.
Which, by the way, we just found out that Safari is one of the rare browsers that actually doesn't support all the encodings of H265, which dramatically shrinks down. There's some setting, I don't know, John hasn't figured it out yet. We were doing some shrinking of some videos for the latest Down in Maui release or whatever, and then David's like, hey, this isn't working on Safari. And I was like, what? That's and I tried every browser. It worked great. And there was like, if this works, and it says it should work, and then it must have been some setting, keyframes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Classic H265. I was like, just go back to H264. Go. So, anyways, talking about containers.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, FFmpeg.
Oh, God. It's such a rabbit hole, these containers. Like, because you have the encodings, you have the containers contain containers. Like, so, like, even this, these Heath pictures you would take with your camera, the main color image is the most important thing. But also, you could have had a live photo where it records a little bit of a video,
Ooh.
So that becomes like a little attachment inside the image file format. You can also add the depth frame, which is another little attachment inside of it. So you're really cramming a lot into an image file format. It's
Lots of data.
basically a zip file, just a bunch of data in it.
My favorite is, at the end of the day, pretty much everything is a zip file. I take my PowerPoints, and I'm like, if you have a PowerPoint or
literally a zip file,
it's literally a zip file, and you like look at it, and you're like, okay, what's the big image in here? There's like, I save this as a why is this so big? I rename it to zip, and then I extract it, and there's a media folder, and then I look, and there's probably a better way to do it, but I was like, there's probably a plugin or something. But I'm like, I've done this for 20 years. I've renamed it to zip, extracted it, looked at the biggest image, like, oh, there's the culprit. There's one image that's in the master slide deck that nobody's using. It's 18 megabytes. Who put this here? Sneaky. Zip. Everything's a zip.
You're lucky it's just an image. Sometimes it's like a whole video or something. Someone just accidentally drags something into the file or something.
Oops. Yeah.
Oops. Right. So I had experience with these images with depth maps. That's how you record the 3D information. It's usually not even a depth map. It's a disparity map. It's whatever. It's a little camera terminology. It's the inverse of the depth. Why not? Math. 1 over depth. We store 1 over depth for fun. And so we've talked about holovids on this show before, where I'm using an AI to turn your videos into 3D videos. And Apple released this thing called Spatial Videos, 3D videos. You would think those two would go together, like peanut butter.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And what's jelly? Peanut butter and jelly? Yeah, let's go.
Banana. Peanut butter and banana, I think.
Bananas. That does sound wonderful. Yeah. Now I'm hungry. Okay. So I'm all excited for Vision and putting my videos into a 3D world. And first time I saw a spatial video, I have to be honest, I just wasn't impressed, because I had been working on whatever you want to call it, reverse projection, on projection of 3D information for a while. And I was like, they kind of cheated with the way they did it. It was cute. They smudge all the mistakes with dark fades, fade to black. Wherever there could be a mistake, fade to black. The shapes are not truly 3D. Like, as you move around, there's parallax, but it's not the correct kind of parallax. It's cheaters parallax. I'm terrible. I'm so mean. But I had been working on this stuff for a while, so I had some strong opinions. But fast forward to, let's call it today or / yesterday or something like that. The reason I want to talk about this is I've been watching videos in both modes, and as much as I just made fun of Apple's spatial videos, I have to admit they're a very pleasant viewing experience. They're because they're not really pushing depth really hard, because they're not actually trying to turn these shapes and things into actual 3D objects. It's just soft, it's gentle. You know how, like, VR, with the wrong app, you can be sick in 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
The right app, you can last hours in there. And I think Apple just found that nice little sweet spot. So, and one part of me, I just wanted to keep making fun of spatial videos because I had that negative initial reaction. But some time has passed and I've reflected on that. I'm like, you know what? That is actually a half decent viewing experience. So I want to get back to the technical stuff, but I wanted to put that out there that, like, I was actually ignoring them for a while, but again, WWDC came up. They made it clear that they're going all in on spatial videos. So I wanted to give them a second try.
Yeah, because it's a big deal, because when it just is on just a single device and this is all you can do, XYZ, but when they start to enroll it in a broader suite of their products, then it feels more tangible. Like, hey, like, they're actually going to care about this a lot more. Maybe this is. Yeah. Now, we didn't get a lot about Vision at WWDC, but we at least got a little bit. And then there was some other, some of this stuff rolled in, which is kind of nice.
And I'll reiterate my complaint. Apple is a producer of entertainment videos, and I'm not sure if any of Apple TV Plus content is 3D compatible right now, which is just absurd. Like, you're making a 3D headset produce 3D videos. Anyway, we can table that for the moment. So here I am, a developer. I'm ready to get into these. I'm ready to get into these spatial files, James. I'm ready to read some Apple Docs on them.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Apple Docs don't exist. I'm like, okay, Of course the Apple Docs don't exist. Why would Apple document everything? Well, Apple did document everything, but they documented all their spatial format in the most high-level technical documentation you could ever possibly read. You have to be intimately familiar with video file formats, which, as we alluded to earlier, is just a rabbit hole I do not want to go down.
Yeah, no one wants to go down that.
I love file formats, but not video formats. They're terrible.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of digging, but it turns out, like, the big question in my head was simply this: what is a spatial video? Like, I know what it does. I can put it on the screen and it looks 3D, but what is it? Because I knew a spatial photograph is a color image with depth information.
Yeah.
So I made the assumption that what is a spatial video? Well, it's going to be a color video with a depth of video also encoded in the background. So like an image would be. Yeah.
Logistically makes sense. Yes.
Does it? It made so much sense in my head. So I'm reading these docs, like, it's like the Star Wars reference. The only thing in the cave is what you bring into the cave. Yeah, I'm reading these docs, which are just so thick and impossible to read, like so opaque, all the terminology. You have to be a specialist to understand these docs. And I'm just like, none of this is mentioning depth or disparity or anything like that. And then a terrible, terrible conclusion came in. What is a spatial video? Well, it's just a good old stereo video. A left image and a right image.
No, really?
That's all they are. It's the saddest sad trombone. I'm like, Apple. I thought, because gosh, there's neural networks I wanted to train on that depth data that was probably going to exist in the files, but no, it's not there. It's just stereo. And the reason it's sad trombone, the reason we opened with all the 2010s talk and 2011s and all that, is because it's really the same old technology. You called it side-by-side video. This is not side-by-side. Apple had to be clever. They had to expand a file container format to squeeze in. Yeah. So for every frame, you don't just have a video frame. That's not interesting. You have tagged frames, and inside a tagged frame, it can have a tag for the left eye and a tag for the right eye. Oh. And so it encodes the streams separately.
And that makes sense, right? Because in the theory of what we were talking about in the 2010s, when we're talking about these TVs, or even go to the movie theater, you're looking at a flat screen, right, in front of you, and how you watched, 3D movies, whether they were the blue red ones, like that was one way of doing it. You're always looking at the same thing, a flat thing in front of you, right? And inherently, how you are looking at it is different. Even the active shutter glasses are looking at this thing. Like the image is not in my eyeballs in here. So it makes sense that spatial videos would be different, but also fascinating that they're not that different.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's just more of a small technical difference. Like, we were talking about the side-by-side videos where they squeeze the left eye and the right eye together into the same frame of your 3D video. In this case, they're just using a very fancy trick of the file format. Say that there are 2 images for every frame of this video. And then it does that kind of encoding. I don't know. I'm still a little bit sad because stereo to me feels very 1950s. It feels very 2010s. I thought we'd moved to beyond it, but here we are in 2024, the latest WWDC. The spatial file format has not changed at all. And we are still using good old-fashioned, Here's what bothers me.
Tell me, Frank, why? What bothers you?
It's a trick. It's a trick of the brain. Now, all these VR glasses, they're all using the same trick. That, like, you can just put a slightly different image in front of this eye and a slightly different image in front of that eye. And all of a sudden, virtual reality, baby. We are escaped. We are out of that old bad reality. We are in a new reality. I hate how plastic the brain is, that it just falls for that trick. And the fact that Apple put a lot of money into creating a 3D device in a new 3D format, and they really smart people wrote very fancy specs on this new 3D video file format, it all still uses the same silly trick of the human brain. Show it two different images and whoa, man, that's a whole different world. We're just living in that world. So I guess that's what bothers me.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it's you're kind of hoping, especially for a device that is, so expensive, right? It's like 3 of my plasma TVs, that it would be something unique. I guess the question long term. Well, I mean, the question actually is if it works, kind of works. That's the thing. Is there a way to improve it either? You know what I mean? Like, you would think that they would have, like you said, put time, money, research, all this other stuff. Like, is it a trade-off of saying, okay, if we do it this way, this is how big the files are going to be. If we do it this way and we increase it, XYZ, this is how big the files will be, right? Was that the trade-off? Was just size on disk? No, you don't think so? Shaking his head.
No, it would have been. Sorry, every podcast. The files would have been smaller if it was depth information, because that's one channel. Color is 3 channels. It's literally 1/3 the size. But depth information doesn't capture everything. It's like the old video games where you kind of have over and under in the 3D world. We called it a 2.5D world. It's kind of like that problem. You can't have over and under. There are depth shadows and things like that.
Here's a question though, real quick. Mm-hmm. It's not a size on disk problem. Is it a processing? Can you process that data fast enough at 24, 30, or 60 FIPS in real time? Or is it just easier and less processor intensive to do it the old fashioned way?
Yes, you can do it, because, not to make this a commercial, but I have an app that will do this in real time. So to play a 3D video, it can do the left eye, right eye trick, because it's soft, it's nice, it's gentle. Mm-hmm. But I prefer the unprojection trick, the more hologram approach of make the pixels actually 3D objects and bring them into the real world. Now, the problem is it does require a little more processor. I won't say it doesn't require 0 more, but it's a different style, so much of this is stylistic and just choosing, because 3D videos could have been really inefficient. They had to upgrade metal. All this requires an upgrade of the media stack. So you need iOS 17, you need macOS 14 to do any of this kind of work on Apple stuff. So it came with its own resources. And if they had chosen a different method, those resources would have been devoted to that method. Yeah. I didn't want to make this a negative thing. I actually did want to make this a thing about, like, spatial videos are neat. I'm glad they're out there. There are other big downsides of them, though, too. I keep bringing up the negatives, but I want to be clear. I do like these spatial videos. The other downside is they are so Apple. Mm-hmm. While they did create a standard extension to a standard file format, Quest doesn't support it. None of the other ones do. I'm sorry, I'm being stupid. Can't name the other ones. No one else supports it now. Maybe in a few years, everyone will. But it'll be a real interesting question. Will we stick with side-by-side videos from 2010, or will the industry take on Apple's standard?
Yeah. And also, it's sort of just the adoption, right? Like, how much do these devices get adopted? How do these get used? And the time versus energy versus, like, hey, this thing works and it's here and XYZ. But funnily enough, it doesn't work everywhere. But if it gets the adoption, then it will, right? Then it will start working in more places, like you're saying.
Yeah, and I think the web is a big deciding factor for all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of VR video is consumed through the web browser, which works really well on the Quest, but Apple doesn't make side-by-side 3D video work on the browser because they're Apple. So we'll find alternative methods for that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm glad that you did the deep dive of it because, I wasn't going to. Is there anything else that any big takeaways from WWDC? Like any wow sessions that you're like, wow, I think I need to watch this, or things that you've been diving through in the last few weeks?
Oh, no, I can't even tell you. I'm still so overwhelmed. I do the when I'm overwhelmed, I do the lowest level technical talks. So it's all these little detail things that I've been picking up. And I really enjoy those, to be thoroughly honest. It's the big ones when they're like, here's a whole new AI API and how to re-architect your app using activities. And I'm just like, tell me more about metal shader improvements, please.
I watched a video on Swift on embeddable devices.
Oh, cool. I skipped that. Okay. I didn't see
It's on YouTube, but also obviously on the WWDC website. But they showed you how to, for all intents and purposes, call these C++ libraries and write, embeddable code with Swift on like an SP32.
Neat.
Yeah. So it was pretty neat. It looked very rough. I would say it looked you're running a lot of scripts, and you're doing a lot of recompilation. It's not like an Xcode. It's if you're in like NeoVim, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it was very fascinating. But I could see what you're doing, Apple, down the road. I see what's going on here.
That's a fun one. Well, I mean, Swift has been a part of the LLVM compiler chain for a while. So actually, it's with enough scripts, you could have probably gotten a lot of that stuff to work prior to this.
Yeah, but they showed how to blink a light, which you have to, standard. And then they also showed how to integrate a Matter library. So you could make an ESP32 HomeKit compatible using Swift, which is kind of cool. So...
see, now you have my attention. Okay, I'm going to have to watch this session.
Yeah, you'll like it. I think you'll like it. That's for sure.
I'm still in the Jeff Bezos family of dingus devices, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, who knows really if Matter and Threads and all these other things are really who knows in the world of IoT as we've gone into. But anyways, that was a cool one. That was my shout out of fascinating, because there are hidden gems in there. You know what I mean? They're like buried little nuggets of these deep dives. Yeah.
We'll do a proper recap next time, because I should take notes on all the little ones, because mine are all we can't do a podcast about each one that I've run into, but if I make a list of 5 or 10 little things that I've run into, that might make for a fun little podcast show.
I like it. We're coming up on, let's see, what episode is this? Merge Conflict.fm. This is 416, so we're coming up on episode 420, so we're on our 10th, one of the 10th episodes, so we'll do something fun there. That's for sure.
Auspicious number.
That is an auspicious number. Well, thanks for taking us back to 2010, Frank, and staying in 2010 with the fantastic file format that Apple has created. That's revolutionary.
Now we can all go back to 2D. Stay away from that 3D stuff.
Yeah, I want that. That's garbage. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's Merge Conflict. Write us into the show. Let us know what you think. MergeConflict.fm. You can always get bonus podcasts by going to Patreon/MergeConflict.fm and become a Patreon subscriber. We put up bonuses a few times a month. So if you want more of us and early episodes, check it out there. That's going to do it for this week's Merge Conflict. So until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.